if you don't ask, you don't get. And that's really, something that took me a while to learn, because a lot of people are naturally uncomfortable with that, right? I don't want to ask them for money to help me with my business. I don't want to ask them for the opportunity to work with them as a partner. Some people struggle with that. I was kind of in the middle, sometimes I'd think, oh, it's okay. And then other times, maybe not. But you don't ask and you certainly don't get. My name is Philip Belamant. I am the co-founder and CEO of a BNPL company in the UK called Zilch. So we're one of the fastest growing businesses in the space. We've gone from 0 to almost 2 million customers in just under 15 months, and recently became Europe's fastest ever unicorn. Experience is certainly something that's great. And today, obviously, you see more and more and more so, people are getting younger and younger and younger, that are coming out with these great businesses. I wouldn't have people put pressure on themselves as well in this regard. Actually, my advice would be, if you're in a position that you are able to go and try a few ideas when you're young, that's really great. That's awesome, and you should do that. But otherwise, sometimes getting some real world working experience or industry experience in something you love or feel is interesting to you is also not a bad thing before you really go out and do something. So yes, I would just say, having the experience has certainly helped us move quickly. And then most importantly, just having a network, and this again comes with experience, of phenomenal people. So you can't build anything on your own. It's not possible. And again, when you're a first-time entrepreneur, when I started my first business, that took years for me to find and recruit great people, because, you're 22 years old and you're going out to people and saying, hey, I'm doing this thing. And they're like, good for you, Whereas this is different. I could reach out to a network I already had and say, let's get some really smart, amazing experience into the business early. So all of that stuff helps. People are younger and younger and really do put more and more and more pressure on themselves. You could go and gain experience for 7 years and build something phenomenal in 2 thereafter. And it can happen that fast, really, once you have the experience. And I'm not saying that it doesn't happen first time off, but you need a hell of a lot more luck. You always need some luck in a business. You always need luck, but you need a lot more of it on your first go. And so really, I think that is important to know. Me and my co-founder, when you look at it, really, as you say, have over 20 years of experience doing what we do. And so you take a business like Zilch, 0 to 2 billion valuation in 3 years, and everyone goes, wow, that came out of nowhere. As you say, no, that's not true. People have been practicing for 17 years before that. So definitely, I think that's something that's really good for people to know. Don't put so much pressure on yourself. You can make a huge success when you're in your 30s or 40s or 50s. That's fine. So for me, I've always been very focused on what I enjoy. It's never been about work. And that's, people ask me, what did I always want to be an entrepreneur? I've actually never thought of myself as an entrepreneur. I've always just really looked at it and said, I'm really interested in this stuff. And being interested in this stuff, I found gaps in it that I thought, oh, that could be a solution I could go and build. And I wanted to go and try to build that thing. And that's really what happened. It wasn't a case of I sat in my room thinking, I want to run a business and have people work for me and be an entrepreneur. It wasn't that. It was, there's some interesting thing here that I think I could build that people might love. Let me go and build that thing. And then I had to worry about all the rest. So what I would say is, for me, I've always been laser focused on this. I didn't take a gap year and go traveling after school. I didn't do any of those things because it was more interesting to me to start my company. I didn't really want to. I couldn't have waited a year. I would have been itching just to get back to do it. So I've always been laser focused on jumping in and getting going and really building. But, again, sometimes with these conversations, if people watch this and they go, oh, well, I'm not that way inclined. I do like to go playing golfing or shooting or jogging, whatever, but I actually am really passionate about also what I do. I wouldn't say that's a bad thing. So sometimes you've got to be careful. I don't think everyone needs to be one way or another. I have a number of friends that are phenomenally successful entrepreneurs that didn't do things this way. they were always, they had a great time and they were out doing random stuff and it was great. And I worked for them. So I wouldn't say you should be one way or another. I think you just need to be dedicated to the task. Is it something that really interests you? And most importantly, are you dedicated? Do you have the discipline to get up and do it every day and make it a success? Because we're all interested in things, right? Like, you might love a certain hobby, you lose interest, you move on. I would say, for me, it's the same when you look at business. You've got a great idea, you go put it together. Do you really have the discipline to follow through with it, to really go and make a success of it? And it's that attrition that makes up such a large part of being what everyone calls today an entrepreneur. It's not about having the idea, it's the execution of that idea. Everyone has an idea, everyone. You think about it, everyone's got great ideas. So then why is it that we don't all run businesses? And that's just because it's people don't have that discipline, in some cases opportunity. So you have to have the opportunity to go and do it. And then you need the discipline and always some luck. Those are the things that you need. And the only advice I give them, because I find a lot of business advice fluffy, the only advice I give them is to go and do something. Go and do it. Don't talk to us about it, do it. And then you can iterate from that thing. And that is probably the single best advice I ever received. And that's why I like to pass it on. Go and actually do something. And then we have something to talk about, because I don't want to talk about your idea that one day maybe you will, no one cares. Go do something. And that would probably be what I water it down to. The only thing to follow that up that will help you enable that is, if you don't ask, you don't get. And that's really, something that took me a while to learn, because a lot of people are naturally uncomfortable with that, right? I don't want to ask them for money to help me with my business. I don't want to ask them for the opportunity to work with them as a partner. Some people struggle with that. I was kind of in the middle, sometimes I'll think, oh, it's okay. And then other times, maybe not. But you don't ask and you certainly don't get. So probably those two things coupled together, will get people off to a great start.